is a poplar tabletop. It is started off 48 inches. It's 47 and a half right now. This whole face will have to be leveled. It's off about 3/16 or so. So the whole face will have to be returned with a bowl gouge, which will leave tool marks. Then I get a little air sander with 80 grit, remove all the tool marks. This is not an orbital, this is a just a standard little sander. Then once I get the tool marks out, I go with a larger 40 grit, 6-inch to level it, come back with an 80 grit, then a 150 grit. Then the furniture maker, he'll do his tricks on it. But anyway, that's a lot of area to cover. It's approximately 3 inches. It's about 3 3/4 of an inch thick. I think it started off 4 inches thick. But anyway, this is going to match the contour of the base I turned. And we're doing 2 of these. Okay, we're going to we turned a rabbet on the back side here to where you cut a disc of 1/2-inch plywood to fit right in there. The pedestal and all the grid work will be mounted, and then the plywood slid over the pedestal, and that'll give it a nice smooth finish on the bottom. No seams except right here. And there's a little bit of a chamfer right here. Used a beading parting tool. It went in about a 1/2 inch deep. Once we get it approximate depth, then we get a skew we'll use as a negative rake scraper and go in and make sure it's kind of undercut. We don't want it lining up in the bottom, so we want to make sure it's not going to hit anywhere except where we want. Do this little chamfer. And once we get it turning like that, we can't just turn the off switch on it. You have to slow it down because it will unwind and roll across the shop here. Might do a little damage. Once we get it down, as slow as it'll go, then we can slow it down and stop it. But I've got to make one final pass around here. We got a pretty good finish. Got the little 40 grit and 80 grit we'll take care of. Then we go to down to 150 grit when I get through with it. But I won't do that now. You have to have complete concentration to just take 1/8 of an inch off and to get it as smooth as possible on that last cut. But what I'm using is a 5/8 bowl gouge. It's the round nose. Most of the time I use a V cut, but on this one I use a large bevel on the back. It's easier on the outside to maintain that bevel contact all the way around. But that's a David Ellsworth type tool from Doug Thompson. Anyway, it's just you have to have complete concentration. This tool rest can move around. You got to keep your foot on it, and it's the largest thing I've turned on this lathe. But it's a challenge. It's a lot of fun. This is a one-way 8-inch face plate. I could have actually used a 10-inch face plate on here. Larry and Bob were nice enough to loan me their face plates to use, and Jim Toussaint loaned me this one. It's a 6-inch, but it wasn't big enough, beefy enough. But to utilize all these holes and make everything work correctly, I use the large sheet metal screw. And what I do, I grind the tips of them off because the tip doesn't hold anything. So I make sure it goes through there, and I make sure, because this is only a 7/8 inch piece of wood on the top, that that point's not going to come through. And to get the spacing right, I just add washers behind the head of the screw. And on these ones here, I think there's 4 washers behind each screw. So I know I've got, let's see, 12 screws on that. So it's going to hold it. Then I put another piece of wood with another 12 screws in it. So it's not coming off. This poplar is not that heavy of a piece of wood. And this is the second one I've turned, so they do pretty good. But you have to be safe with it. It's got to be lined up. This square, I made sure it was no grooves, or made sure I sanded it off where there's no, where you glued it up, there's no glue in the cracks there. So you want it perfectly straight.